Are you ready now?
Yep.
Ready? Okay. Hi everyone, you're listening to Cinema Red Pill, and I'm Sharon, here with Joel, just Joel. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about the Ngalabi Short Film Festival. So, this is a festival that took place on 3rd, 4th, and 5th of February. And it was the first Ngalabi Short Film Festival. It was organized by, say the name, I can't say it.
By the Gute Zentrum Institute, Kampala, and Maisha Film Lab.
Exactly. There were 19 short films, and 12 out of the 19, there were 12 African films and 7 German films. The whatever he said is a German NGO. And now we're going to start by talking about the African films, which sadly are the only ones I was able to watch.
Yeah.
Joel will talk about the other German films I was unable to see. But out of the African films, there was a diverse set of topics, from albinism to sexual awakening to midlife crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah, and FGM, female genital mutilation, and friendship in slums. This years, like friendship in slums. You said that very unsurely because we weren't quite sure that film was about friendship in slums.
Yeah,
but
there's a story behind that.
There's a story behind that film, and these films were not only Ugandan films. There was Ugandan, there was there was Kenyan, there was Tunisian, Zanzibar. Am I going to say Jonah was from Zanzibar?
Yeah, Tanzania.
Yeah, Tanzania. Others, yes, and others. Rwanda.
Yeah,
because
Rwanda
one of my favorites was also from Rwanda.
Yeah, Tunisia, Ethiopia. Yeah.
Yes. So the way we're going to do this episode is, I think we'd first talk about the ones that stood out, and I'm going to start, which is a film which I know both of us loved. So could we really start by talking about the elephant in the room, or the big fish in the room, with Jonah?
Yeah, Jonah was awesome.
Jonah was super awesome.
Yeah.
It had Daniel Kaluuya. You must know his name. He was in Black Mirror. He was in Sicario recently.
No, true. Yeah.
So, Jonah is a film about two best friends. They have this dream that things will be great for them, and it becomes a reality when they're able to take a snapshot of a big fish jumping out of the sea. And this is no ordinary big fish.
Yeah.
It's a bedazzling big fish.
Yeah.
So the big fish causes the tourism in Zanzibar. It's set in Zanzibar.
Yeah.
It causes the tourism in Zanzibar to become a big thing. There's a lot of tourism that happens, so it shows the effects of that.
Yeah.
Now, you can go on about the visuals first.
Oh yeah, the standout element of this movie is the jaw-dropping visuals. I can't even begin to explain how awesome they are. It's like pixel level stuff.
Pixel level stuff.
Yeah, there's so much detail. Just the movement of the fish. They even do these neat time lapse, time transitions. With so much cool animation. A lot of work was put into this. I don't know how long it took them to execute all this stuff, but so well done. I would love to see so many more African movies like this.
I know.
Yeah.
So my best thing about Jonah is it gets too out of the whole thing. It gets the whole technical narrative with all the great CGI, and still the normal crafting of the story. You could actually follow it and get what was going on.
Yeah.
Which was it? Did you feel that?
Yeah, I have a very slight
You had some issue with the
about the
narrative?
story. Yes.
Really? I actually didn't have any reservations with the story. This was a 10 out of 10 for me in my books. So, especially when it comes to when the generated images have to show you the changes when the tourism happens. That was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And I felt I understood the whole story of his conflict as the other guy, and then he comes and he has to look at the big fish and one car. That story transition for me. So what was your problem there?
I felt like it dragged a bit in the middle. It starts off really strong with the friendship between these two guys, these little rascals running through the streets, and they find the fish. After they find the fish, I sort of switch, as far as the story goes, I sort of switch off a bit. That's a very minor nitpick because I was still really enjoying the visuals and seeing the transitions and seeing how the town kept like morphing and changing. It was still a really good movie. That's a very, very minor nitpick. Very, very minor.
I hear your argument, and I think you're wrong. Because I never lost it. I never lost it. It was with me the whole time as I watched the whole transition happen. I knew why it was transitioning, and it worked with the narrative. It was a mix of the two, just combining the two and making a whole cohesive story that made a whole lot of sense all the way. This movie was perfect for me.
It's like a 10 out of 10 for me still. But I feel like I would have gotten more out of it.
If they concentrated some bit more
just
on the narrative.
A little more on the narrative, yeah.
Jonah is great. And
yeah,
it's available online on Vimeo.
Yeah,
so check it out. I'll link it in our description. Yeah. Anyway, another film I definitely have to talk about is New Eyes.
Yeah.
So New Eyes is the sexual awakening movie we were talking about. The story is about a girl in transition of puberty, and she realizes that things are changing in her life, and the way she's thinking and feeling is different. She's becoming a bit restless day to day, and obvious that her body is changing and the way she feels about certain things is changing. Basically a sexual awakening for a young girl. It's set in Ethiopia, a conservative country.
Yeah, set in rural
Ethiopia, which even makes it worse. Joel, talk about the film a bit first.
Okay, so New Eyes was the first short film by Hiwot Admasu, Ethiopian filmmaker. It's her first film ever, and I think she's genius as fuck. She did this movie now. Was about a girl in rural Ethiopia. She stumbles upon this couple that's having sex and like experiences her first sexual awakening. And I enjoyed watching like this sort of confusion and eagerness and all these weird mixed emotions with the kid. And there's barely any dialogue in the film, which I thought was very, very impressive. Yeah, so I thought it was pretty entertaining. I thought it was a really good piece for first film. Just very, very, very good. And yeah, it was my favorite of like the entire program.
Okay, the best thing about film festivals is you get to hear the filmmaker talk about their film, and that was fascinating and very helpful to hear from her, to know her vision and why she did this and her inspiration out of everything. The one thing I have to point out is her narrative is not a cohesive linear story that you can actually follow. Everything Joel is saying is true. It's fascinating actually that someone would have the balls to make a movie like this. But her narrative was really not clean.
Yeah, which is a good thing.
I don't think it was a good thing. It kills the experience because things just jump at you.
Yeah.
It loses its intrigue. That was my problem with the narrative.
Yeah, I'll say it gets better with repeat viewings.
He saw it 7 times. Can we?
Yeah.
I saw it twice.
Yeah. But
so on your third viewing, what was your view?
My third viewing, I still had no idea what the fuck was happening. But on my 7th viewing, I got it. I got everything. Because even the haphazard way that it's cut sort of it adds to this feeling of confusion, at least for the character. Is the way I interpreted it personally.
Okay.
When I watched it the 7th time. I think this is a really good piece. Yeah, I can't wait to see more work from her.
But my other one was Jethro by Jethro.
Yeah.
By Malcolm Bijemano. I've spoken of this film before, I think twice now on this podcast. And what stood out for me now was this was my first time watching it with an audience, and the audience reaction was something I enjoyed seeing because I've watched this 3 times on my own. And actually picked up something that I asked Malcolm about in his interview, But he didn't tell me about it because I was confused about the entire narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And someone pointed out, sorry, I haven't given what this film is
No, you haven't
about.
told us what.
Yeah, it's a meta comedy about Ugandan filmmakers trying to get funds for a project. And when I talked to him about it, if you listen to the episode, I asked him why what happened to the character happens to the character, because it's a very Truman Show type of situation. Yeah. She's in a place and everyone is aware of what's happening, but she's not. And someone pointed out that one of the people pitched what happened to her.
Yeah.
I don't know why Malcolm didn't tell me. Because that's something I never picked up, and I've watched that thing. It made me actually be like, so that's what this is. Anyway, but so just finding out that part of the story actually made me rethink the film. I even watched it again and I got the whole thing. It's such a trip. What did you think of the film?
No, I love it. I've seen it a bunch of times now. And I love the way it goes slowly off the rails. Because I also saw that the first trailer Malcolm released like before we watched it. And I thought I knew what movie I was going to see. But then it turned into something else. Like that whole first part just disappears really fast and then it evolves into this mind fuck.
It's actually a mind fuck.
For lack of a better word. And I thought the characters it shows are super entertaining and engaging. I like the lady. What's her name? That's my favorite Ugandan actress right now. Yeah, she has a super expressive face. And she was the right choice for that role. I guess towards the end when I felt maybe it pushed too far. Now when it got into like the toilet time travelers thing, I was like, okay, yeah, I get it, but I was like, you could have done without that. Like I was okay with like the first level of meta.
It became too meta.
Yes, it became too meta. It started metaing, it's meta. So like but if this is a lead up to a sequel, a Toilet Time Travelers movie, I am totally down for that. It. So yeah, Malcolm, do your thing, man. Yeah.
Last but not least of my standouts. This is me just mentioning the ones that stood out for me. Although I have an honorable mention after that. But Stranded. Stranded is a Tunisian film about a guy who just wants to pee.
Best film.
It was your favorite? Over Jonah?
Yes, over Jonah.
I don't like you.
Over Jonah.
Okay.
I'll explain.
You should take the honor of talking about it before I do. If it was actually your favorite over Jonah.
Okay. So, Stranded is about a taxi driver that parks by this tree in a seemingly uninhabited place. And he just wants to take a piss, but he keeps getting interrupted. But it's like, these interruptions like the most ridiculous situations you could ever imagine. And the reason that I enjoyed this movie more than I did Jonah is because of how well it works on like a primal level. Now when I talk primal, I mean like the primal needs of a human being are like the need to eat, the need to love, the need to piss. That's a natural need. That's something you can immediately identify by. So like when this guy gets interrupted over and over and over again, he is a super relatable character. He's the most easily relatable character in all the movies I think that were screened. And yeah, it's so easy to be with him the whole time. The comedy is nice, the comedic timing, has super colorful characters. It's just a great overall concept. It takes you all the way up to the end. It's this mixture of pain and laughter and how ridiculous it is. I think it's one of the better comedies that I've ever seen, just period. Yeah.
Okay. Their comedic timing was off the rails, off the chains.
Very good movie. Yeah.
It's such a good movie.
Yeah.
Pretty good. my honorable mention of one of the films that like stood out for me, or we'll try to talk about others, was A Place for Myself.
Okay.
I liked it, especially for the lead actress. This is the film that's about albinism in Rwanda. This is about a young girl.
Yes.
And her skin color, she's an albino. People start treating her making her a stereotype and treating her really different. She has to fight back and raise her voice for other people to try to understand where she's coming from. She's different, but she wants people to understand that she's different, but it's not. She was born this way. I've been listening to that song the whole day. The whole day. I listened to it like 5 times. I'm not even joking. But I was born this way. Anyway. I liked this movie. It's flawed. That's one thing for sure. But I was moved by it because I see albinos every day. I've never had any negativity towards them, but I've never interacted with them. That disturbed me a bit because there's so many other people who are marginalized that I over understand, yet I'm not a part of them. Like the gay people, I have a very big understanding of them, yet I have no idea about them, but why am I not the albinos who are even more dominant in Uganda? It really got me thinking. That's why I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I think it changed my attitudes towards that, and it actually made me look at them as the most very human. And I had never had a film that ever did that to me, and this did. So I love the film.
Cool.
It was actually one of my standouts. I can't even believe I'm making it an honorable mention. It was actually one that was extremely impactful towards me, more than Jonah, which I've actually it was a technical achievement and a narrative, but this had a lifetime effect on me, so I really should hold it in much of a higher regard.
Okay.
Because I think the next time I ever meet one, I'll have this in mind.
That's good. That's huge.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
So it did.
Yeah. This movie I admired in a few places on a technical level. There's this one shot at the beginning that reminded me of Kubrick's shots in The Shining.
That's
this
amazing.
They had she had one of these floating shots of floating through the room until they meet like the girl looking in the mirror.
Oh yeah.
That was shot like a horror film. Sort of.
Shot really well.
Yes, which brings me like my overall reason why I love this film. Why it connected for me is it felt like a giant experiment technically. She had no like clear flowing thing, but I liked watching her process on screen. Yeah, but the way I saw it more in that light of she was experimenting and she's trying to find her voice particularly. And I can't wait to see her progress like over her film career. I'm sure she's going to get better and better.
Yeah, those are my standouts. I think you should talk about yours if we still have any.
You've pretty much mentioned all the big standouts.
The best ones.
yeah. You pretty much mentioned the best ones. I'll mention one film that you didn't particularly like, Silent Depression.
Okay.
I love Silent Depression.
Okay. Could you first talk about the synopsis of that film?
Silent Depression is sort of I would call it a new genre of sorts. It's like a spoken word. It's like a spoken word essay for all intents and purposes. You have this narrator reciting this long drawn out poem of sorts over these images of youth in Kampala and blah blah blah. Now, ordinarily, I wouldn't like a movie like this, but there's a way the shots are injected with such sentimentality, and such nostalgia. I just like the sepia tone and the shots that will like hang on a couple of people. For me, it captured life in Kampala, and a particular section of life that we don't really see ever. Because usually when you think Kampala, the shots you usually see of like people in slums or whatever. They showed like youth like campuses with like phones and stuff, and you had like the hipsters with the dreads and like it showed for me like a completely different community. It's like the music, the mood, the tone, it just spoke to me as a person. And I had an issue with the words, but for me the words sort of blend into the background at a certain point. So I enjoy like the naivety, I enjoy the passion behind the words. I don't necessarily agree with everything that's said, but I enjoy the passion with which it is said.
I've told you before, the reason I don't like this film is the same reason I have failed to appreciate Black Mirror. Mm-hmm. It's fucking preachy. I'm unable to deal with that. Mm-hmm. That's all I feel. Okay. What else did you like?
Other than everything you mentioned.
Yeah.
Homecoming.
Oh.
Yes. Homecoming.
I didn't enjoy Homecoming.
Yeah, Homecoming was made by a friend of mine actually.
I can't believe you didn't enjoy that film.
That's fair. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she's from Kenya and she did this film in South Africa. And having watched her films, her student films before, I personally enjoyed seeing her. So for me, it was Homecoming was a very accessible movie. Yeah, the program that we watched that day, I think was slightly challenging for the most part for the audience.
That was Saturday.
Yes, that was Saturday.
That was actually the only welcoming movie out of Saturday.
Exactly, yeah, because after talking to a few people, like that's the film they could relate to, and basically the plot is about this kid that is estranged from his family. He's working in Cape Town, and he gets called back because the family business is failing. He goes back and there's whole tension, a lot of broken pieces left behind. Like a girlfriend he left, a dad he left, a little brother that he left. So he's trying to like pick up the pieces, and like this time he wants to like it's the whole dramatic question is like, will he run away again when the going gets too tough? And for me, it was a simple, straightforward story. I really enjoyed the cinematography and the way that it was color graded, particularly. I liked the image. I don't know, there's that particular teal sort of thing in the image that I really enjoyed. Yeah, there were a lot of safe choices made, but like I enjoyed it for what it was. I enjoyed the actors for the most part. The story was pretty predictable, I'd say. It was pretty, you know where it was going, but it was fine. I enjoyed it for what it was.
Okay, so now we get into the part where Joel talks about the German films he was able to watch on Sunday, out of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of that month, of those 3 days of the film festival. Okay. Just be brief about it.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, give us what went down.
Yeah, so we had a German film program on Sunday, and I think these are the most challenging films compared to the African ones. The African ones were more accessible plot-wise. The German films we found were not so much about the plot, they were more about the atmosphere, and they're more about the feeling, being in a certain place, in a moment, in time. Uh-huh. So I'm going to briefly try to explain what was going on in these films. Let's see. Oh yeah, one of my favorite films from that day was called Cosmorama. So what I understood from the film was like sort of about like this invasion of like the urban sort of environment and everything. Everything was just sort of run of the mill. You have this moment where like a couple of people doing a bunch of things and woman's like, oh, I'm bored, let's just go home. That's pretty much the end of the movie, and she's just like, let's just go home. Yeah, it's a very abstract stuff going on in that movie. The third movie was called Familiar Moments, which was my personal favorite. This movie had this neat little story behind it where the footage used in the movie was assembled from 35mm footage in a flea market somewhere. So it's just like family home video stuff, basically. But then, and then over that, you have like a poem, this long, like 3-minute poem being read by the narrator. And then we have a film called Philosophien, which for me was one of the more accessible movies. It was basically about these teenagers on a summer vacation, sort of get a house somewhere. It's just clips of them having fun, basically. Like both the bored moments, like they have water gun fights, they set off firecrackers, they just sort of walk around, they pretend to be monkeys at some point. It had abstract stuff in the background, it had these shapes and diagonal lines they kept drawing that I have no idea what the fuck that was. But yeah, there's some deeper meaning, I have no idea what that is. And the last movie was called Initiation. It was the most successful movie of all. It was done by a German filmmaker who had grown up in Lesotho and lived with this. Yeah, and he lived with this tribe of like herdsmen, and he knew their language and knew their culture and everything. Now he returned to like document the initiation ceremony for when the boys become men. And I thought it was just a beautiful film. There's so many layers to it. I think overall the program was great. I loved how challenging all the movies were as a whole. Nothing was straightforward, and I hope it encourages more challenging films like from our side, from the East African side. Because yeah.
Thanks for listening, everyone. This is our episode today. I've been here with Joel. We've done a brief review. Would I call it a review? What is it?
No fucking idea. Overview.
We've had a conversation.
Yes.
About the films that were at the Ngalabi Short Film Festival. Thanks for listening. If you did, I really wonder who the fuck was.
No one's going to listen to.
I don't.
No one's going to listen to all this.
Because I don't think I'll look to be there. I just opened up a festival which I had zero idea about. I want this. I know this is what I want, but I am not expecting listeners. But anyway, thanks for listening. And if you magically have some feedback, tweet at us, Facebook, email, cinemaredpill is the same name. Thanks for listening. Bye. Have you watched Legion?
Oh, the X-Men thing, no?
Yeah? You've heard of it though?
Yeah.
How come you haven't yet watched it?
Starting to get some fatigue slightly.
From superheroes?
Yeah. Very, very slightly.
There's Aubrey Plaza.
Aubrey Plaza? What's that? I have a huge crush on her, I just don't know her name. I just didn't know her name.
Thank you, Jesus. Because it's been...
She was the same one in the Mike and Dave movie, right?
Mike and Dave movie.
Yeah,
like,
I fucking love that bit,
because
man.
I couldn't believe you don't know Aubrey Plaza. You saw the Arrow trailer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do the walk of life.
This was my alarm clock. For
Did
like
you?
a year.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm serious. Dedication, devotion,
Turning on the back
night.
down in the
You keep making me fuck up the lyrics.
I'm forging words, Joel.
Dedication, devotion, turning all the nights. You keep making me fuck up. I don't know. You keep making me fuck up the lyrics.
Stop listening to
Turning all the nighttime into the day. Yeah.
I was saying industry.
That's the best fucking song. It's Walk of Life by Dire Straits. Sponsored this episode of Cinema Red Pill.